hey, hey. Hello, 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 and welcome back. It's great to see everyone again. I'm still like overwhelmed with all the people I've been meeting and all the panels and conversations. We have one final keynote conversation and fireside chat, and we're thrilled to have Chelsea Cutler with us to close out the day with this inspirational note. Since 2017, Chelsea has been a dynamic force in music with deeply personal albums like How to Be a Human and Stellaria, and impactful collaborations with Jeremy Zucker and Noah Kahan. Her work has earned critical acclaim, millions of streams, and a global fan base. As a multifaceted artist and notable producer, she continues to innovate and inspire her audience and our industry. In today's discussion, we'll explore Chelsea's creative process, her approach to collaboration, and how she remains authentic in a constantly evolving industry. Whether you are an inspiring artist out there or a music professional, her insights are sure to be both enlightening and motivating. So please enjoy this conversation, and we'll see you afterward. Thank you.
Hi
Hey,
there.
thank you for joining us and all the young people around the country and the world. Thank you for being here with us. Excellent.
Yeah, no, oh my gosh, of course. Thank you for having me and trusting me with this, this time and trusting me to hopefully provide some good insight.
Brilliant. I'm sure you will because your music already is providing such deep resonance for so many. So I thank you again for closing out this day of learning and a sparking of career paths and how we can continue to build a more sustainable industry and lives for this next generation. And we're thrilled to hear about your upcoming music release with Jeremy Zucker on Friday, September 13th, this coming Friday. Collaboration seems to be such a cornerstone of your work. You've worked a lot with Jeremy and others often. And in a world that often emphasizes just like this rugged individualism. Would love to hear how you see the role of collaboration in your creative process, as well as what qualities do you look for in your collaborators and in your team?
It's a really important question. I think it's a really important thing to think about. I think that my attitude and perspective on collaboration has definitely evolved as I've gotten older as well, because when I first got into the industry and when Jeremy and I first made Brent, Brent 1, for example, I was 20. Yeah, I just turned 21, I believe, and which is so crazy. And I think that at the time I loved collaborating because of it, making music with your friends or doing anything, that's overflowing with passion with your friends is such a gift, like to get to share such a vulnerable and creative thing. And then I think when Brent kind of exploded into success in a way that we didn't anticipate, I think initially, my attitude was, oh no, I don't want my career to be defined by collaboration.
Mm,
And as I've gotten older and hopefully a bit of a more grounded and experienced head on my shoulders, now I'm like, I am so blessed that my career has kind of been so marked by collaboration, because
mm.
life is so short, and if we're able to learn and grow and have fun making music or doing anything with our friends and people that we love, then we're so lucky.
Mm. I love that.
And like two heads are better than one, honestly. Like truly, oftentimes the music is so special when it comes from a room that's just filled with honesty and camaraderie and love and vulnerability. Like, that's going to push you guys to make much more interesting music, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are there particular things that you look for when you're heading into collaborations, or as you're building this amazing team around you to support your work too?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the cool thing about music is, even though, like, as Chelsea Cutler, the artist, that's obviously an individual role. Chelsea Cutler, the artist, doesn't exist at all without the massive team that
Mm-hmm.
kind of an structure that exists around that. So, obviously, like, there's my management team and my booking team and my touring team and business team and legal team, and there's a million people around. And I think, the most important kind of qualities that I looked for when building that, and kind of picking what people I wanted around me, the most important qualities were, like, truly people that I love, business aside, because if you're going to be spending all of this time on the phone and in person and dealing with, things that are difficult to navigate and adversity and celebrating the wins, like, you want to do all of that with people that you just genuinely love.
Right.
So that's really important to me. And I've been with my management and legal team for 8 years, and I've been with most of my touring crew for 5-6 years, and so I really pride myself and care deeply about, like, longevity of relationships.
Mm.
And I think another thing too is being a woman in the industry. Obviously, it's funny when you say it's a male-dominated industry. I think a lot of people think that's not true. There are so many female artists. Like, there are more female artists than male artists, and, like, that's not what anyone's talking about. When you look at management, touring, legal, business, booking, the vast majority of people behind the scenes are men. And I don't know why that is, but I do know that as a young woman in the industry, it's been really important for me to surround myself with as many women as I can, but also men who are here to support women and lift women up.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I want to be able to be like, like, I don't want to swear on this, but, like, I want to be like a bad business lady, and, like, I need men around me who are like, heck yeah, that's who you are, and not who are like, you're demanding and you're this and you're that.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
really important to me.
That's awesome. I mean, because you're touching on this too, you've made your mark as a female producer, engineer, mixer. These are also male-dominated fields. And so we have a
Totally. And when
Yeah.
I first started too, like, I mean, the first little, like, record deal I did, I'm so grateful. It gave me, like, a foot in the door. And at the same time, I was sitting here being like, guys, like, I'm not great at producing, but, like, I want to do it. And they were kind of like, you're a vocalist.
Mm.
Like, you're not, and that's how okay, these are not my people.
Mm-hmm. For sure. They're not going to be advocating for you in those rooms that you need to
Yeah.
be in. So what advice would you give to these young women in the audience here today, aspiring to break into music production and engineering? And would love to also know, as an industry, how can we better support and nurture female voices and creatives?
Yeah, that's such a great and packed question, obviously. Which I love, because I could talk about this forever. I mean, I think my biggest piece of advice would be, really, no one knows what they're doing. Like, if you get in a room with, I've been in one of my best friends is, like, a Grammy nominated producer with multiple Billboard top 10s and number ones. Okay. And, like, you get in the room and you kind of are gonna, and he'll love me saying this, but you get in the room and you're like, okay, you brilliant man, like, show me all you know. And it's like, he doesn't know anything. All he knows is what he thinks sounds good. you know, and like there's no right way to get there. And I think, you know, particularly as I was kind of learning how to produce, you know, I went into rooms and I was scared because I would say like, oh, you know, I don't really know what I'm doing, or I'm not really technically trained. And the more I spent time with, you know, people who had achieved the kind of success that I wanted, the more I realized like, oh, okay, there's no right way to do anything. Just go with what you think sounds cool. And it doesn't matter how you get there. If it sounds cool to you, then you nailed it. And I think that's like been one of the most important lessons for me, because I just thought like, okay, if I didn't go to school for music production, or I don't spend hours like watching YouTube tutorials, I just press buttons and mess around and diddle until things feel cool. Like I thought that there was less value in that. And there's just not.
Yeah.
You know, it's as long as something sounds interesting. Sometimes the more technical knowledge I gained, like the more limited I felt. I think that sometimes when you don't know what you're doing, it can like lead to happy accidents. It can lead to you kind of finding unconventional and interesting ways to get to like that end goal that you're envisioning. I think it's really liberating.
Sweet. I love that. You've mentioned success a couple of times in the conversation already, and we have a lot of young people that are just chasing success and often tie their self-worth to their careers as well. I would love to hear how you have navigated this and how you define success for yourself as well. What are those measurements too?
Okay, well, this is either going to be a very liberating answer or a very confusing answer, but I think that even, you know, as someone with like a relatively stable and established career in music, that is still something I, you know, think about and talk about and dissect in therapy and with my team. Like, I think that this is an industry like many others, you know, where it can feel like the goalposts of success move quickly, and I think also it can feel kind of easy to assign like a timeline to your goals that maybe doesn't need to be there. And it's I'm trying to think like, okay, a good example is this past year I sold out Radio City in New York, and that was kind of always like a big goal for me. And I had this whiteboard in my studio, and selling out Radio City, you know, was a goal on it. But I think something that I learned about myself was like, I had a year, you know, that I wanted to do it by. And, you know, between COVID and then going on the tour with Quinn 92 and then kind of rebuilding my momentum after COVID, like I ended up doing it like a year later than I thought. And I remember being in therapy, and my therapist was like, you're constricting yourself by putting timelines on your goals. Like, you selling out Madison Square Garden, there's no data until the day that you die on your deathbed. There's no data that you're not going to do it. And so why constrict yourself by putting like this deadline on that? Like, just live, and all of these beautiful goals and things that you want to, like, until you die, there's no one telling you that it's impossible, you know? And that conversation changed my life. Like it just kind of reframed success for me in terms of like these really tangible goals. And then I think something that's really important too is like to define success also by the kind of intangible goals, because I also think when I'm on my deathbed, like, am I going to care about how many times I played Madison Square Garden, or am I going to care about like I said, I've been with my manager for it's 8 years next month. Like, relationship and I get to have all of these wins and we get to celebrate that whole journey together, like that's success to me. If I get to spend my life collaborating with people I love, that's success. If I get to wake up and like feel blessed to be on stage and creating, art for a living, like that's success to me. So, I think not to ramble, but like I think it's important to just acknowledge like we're in this industry where everyone's posting on social media like this just went platinum. I sold 500,000 tickets to this tour. This tour grossed $200 million, and it's easy to kind of convince yourself like, oh, these are the pillars of and that's just like a never-ending rat race. And like I don't think on your deathbed like you're gonna care that your tour grossed $200 million. I think you're gonna care that you were on stage with people you love playing with, and you were on tour with your best friends, and you got to like navigate the world with your best friends. Like that's success.
Yeah, I love that. I love also the comment you had about the time. There's always this like urgency, or you're comparing yourself to others, and sometimes it's about that slow, that long vision and long road, because that's what you want. You want to be able to be doing this in 60 years, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think something that's interesting to point out right now is that a lot of artists having really massive cultural moments right now are artists that have been doing this for a long time. And I think Sabrina's a great example of that. Like this is her 6th record, and it's her first Billboard #1. And it's her first tour. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like it's her first tour stepping into arenas. It's for sure the most culturally impactful moment that she's had, and 6 albums in is no joke. Like that's a career of building up to this moment. Charlie, Chapel's been at this for 10 years. Noah has been at this for 10 years. So it's refreshing to kind of see these artists who are having these moments that have come from cultivating like a really, really like a career of longevity.
Yeah, I love that. It's a long-term vision. I'm wondering how you find and sustain your authentic voice with so much noise out there now. You've talked about some really amazing artists just in the last few minutes. There's so much crap flying around, right? And how do you stay grounded to your truth, yourself, and maintain that authenticity with all that noise?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think that, again, surrounding yourself with people who are going to keep it really real with you is important. And that's why, again, like I've just loved that I've kind of built my career with the same people by my side, because we've known each other from the beginning and we've built this thing together. And I think that like if you surround yourself with people who prioritize and care about the right things and prioritize care about you staying you, it's going to keep you in check, and like, I think, like I said, my manager, for example, like I remember we had like a conversation about, like what do we want out of all of this? And he was actually the first person to kind of say like, oh, I want to be doing this with you in 20 years. Like that's going to be success to me, and that's going to be like, that's what's true for me. And to me that like really solidified, like I have the right people around me who are going to keep me authentic, because like I care about relationships, and like I want to always care about relationships. And like I don't know, I have the same friends that I've like had, I have all my childhood friends and high school and college friends, and like outside of music, like everything around me for the most part, I've just kept it really real, and like the same stuff and same values. And yeah, because it's like I said, it's just you're in an industry where like there's a lot of people are posting this album went #1 and we made this much money and sold this catalog, and like it's obviously really easy for you to kind of get confused about what your values are and like what you stand for as a person. And I think it's just about like keeping people around you who are gonna keep you really honest.
Right, and share some of those same values. I think this kind of
Yeah.
dovetails on this a bit too, is your music, when I listen to it, and for many people it calms. Like I feel my frequency drop. On a cellular level, there's a breath that happens for me, and we all need that again in this high frequency world that we live in. And I know that you're just in the conversation, you're all heart, you're so empathetic, right? You feel, which means that you have to prioritize self-care, because you're intaking so much, and then you're giving us so much as well in your music. And so for our young creatives and young professionals out there, how can they hold this space for themselves, especially those that don't have lots of teams around them, right, to help uplift them? How can, I don't even have to ask, like, is it important? We know it's so key, right? How can they prioritize self-care? What are things that you do to ensure that self-care is at the front line for you?
I mean, that's a great question, because I think with when you're self-employed or you're, working at a job where like I imagine, it feels similarly to be like a pro athlete where like you feel like you're directly responsible for the input-output relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really challenging to navigate, right? Like anytime I'm doing something for leisure or just for me, I've had to really kind of battle that inner voice that's like, well, if like 2024 is not your year, it's because you were going for a run instead of being in the studio, or you were hanging out with your friends instead of going to that fashion week event that you could have gone to,
Mm-hmm.
and I think being able to again like really keep your core values at the front of everything is kind of what will like help you give yourself permission to even step away for self-care. So that's really important. And I think the other thing that's hard is like when you turn your hobby or your passion into a career, you also, it's so funny, like in meet and greets and like our VIP Q&As and everything that we do, like I started noticing that fans would say like, oh, what do you do in your like free time for fun?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, like I make music. Like I make music for fun. Like when I have free time, I sit in the studio and I jam and like write. And then I kind of realized I was like, oh no, like I'm not doing anything for like no monetary motivation, like no work or success pressure. And so I think that's something to keep in mind too, is like when your biggest hobby becomes your job, like you kind of have to go out and like rediscover like, all right, what's gonna like fill me up that is just not, it doesn't have to be productive, I don't have to be good at it doesn't have to make money or sell tickets. And I think finding those things is really important.
Right.
Don't ask me what they are. I'm still learning.
No, but it is like when you get in your head, you also then can freeze as an artist because you're not finding things that inspire you. So like what inspires you? I know you're saying you're still finding some of that external inspiration, but what inspires you?
I think that maybe a good way to answer that question is that I feel kind of, okay, let me know if this makes sense, but like I feel inspired when I feel like I have room to be expansive, and when my schedule is really busy, like I wake up and I have a meeting like right away and then a shoot and then
Yeah.
Like when you're going through kind of periods like that where you can't get a breath in, like nothing good creatively is going to come there. And like I have to just kind of recognize like, all right, this week is just about getting this press done, getting this shoot done. But I think like when I have the ability to take some days away and just like, because creativity is really spontaneous and it's really free flowing and malleable and loose, and like you can't just say I'm going to go to the studio today and like make something special. Like that's not how it works. Like it's going to
Mm-hmm.
find you and pop up at like potentially inopportune times, and like sometimes you just need to create space for that creativity to pop up when it feels like it. Like sometimes you just need to have a day or two off or a week off, and I'm so fortunate to be able to say that. Like, oh, I can,
Mm-hmm.
I can structure it where I have like 3 or 4 days off. But like, so I need to sometimes have time where like at 3 p.m. on a random Thursday, I can be like, oh, I'm feeling it. I'm gonna pop in the studio and go create.
Yeah. 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 You need to give yourself that space, frankly, to do
Which is
that.
hard, like, and again, like that, yeah, I mean, that's really hard. Obviously, like most working professionals don't have the liberty to do that.
Yeah.
Um, and I get it. Like when I played a sport in college, and I would like, on top of classes and homework and playing, like a college sport, like I would just, there were times at like 1 a.m. in my dorm room. I was like, I'm feeling it, and I don't have a choice because I don't have a lot of time. So like, we gotta rock. I gotta, sit down and jam, and like, um, it's like I said, it can happen at inopportune times, and like not, most people probably don't have the, the privilege of kind of seizing that at 2 p.m. on a random, Thursday or whatever. But I think kind of creating those pockets for that space to exist is really,
Yeah.
really important when you can.
Right. Right. And then again, on that list of values, that has to be sort of part of that, right? Giving yourself that time and that space to do it. So moving from sort of self to the larger community, your music resonates with a wide range of audiences and communities.
Thank you.
It's pretty spectacular. Oftentimes there's these like niche things, but you look at your audiences and it's their age, race, like such a diversity of folks that are really connected to your music. So I know this is just such a big question, but how do you think music can bridge these gaps and foster an understanding of this shared humanity among so many groups of people? And you can take it from your personal perspective on creating that shared space, but also in general, how music continues to be that common language and that connectivity for folks.
Yeah, I mean, I think that music kind of reflects your identity on different levels. Like I think at the very baseline, like I'm a human with feelings and human experiences. And so, that is able to kind of transcend a lot of other identifying factors. And then, you have the other layer that, I'm a woman. So a lot of my audiences, like other women who are going through similar, experiences. Um, I identify as bisexual, and like, that layer of queerness, like also reflects into like what kind of audiences an artist attracts. And so I think it's interesting, there's like all these different tiers of humanity
Mm.
that music can kind of expand into and impact. And again, like I think underneath all of that is kind of just the primary level of like I'm a human with, we all kind of have the same emotional template for the most part, which is beautiful. And like my favorite thing to say about music is like when you go to a Giants or a Jets game at MetLife, there's a lot of the audience rooting for New York and a lot of the audience is rooting for the other team. And when you go to a Taylor Swift show at MetLife, you got all 80,000 people just feeling like they're all for the same joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sports, that's like when you think of like what like really galvanizes communities, like I'm like sports is the next best thing, but like music is like the one thing that every single person in a room or in a venue or in a stadium, like every single person there is like there for the same thing. And that's really special.
Have you heard that research that they've had that people's hearts start beating together when they're in the same room listening to the music? It's pretty spectacular. Like, again, on that like
That is
physiological level, it's pretty neat. And again, I think we all felt
so
that.
funny. Like,
Yeah. That's it.
I just imagine us like we're all just little Sims characters in a computer game, and like when they're doing their dorky little dance, and you're like, our Sims are so cringy and lame. It's like that's us. Like we are human. Like humanity is so like raw and like unapologetic. It's really adorable.
Yeah, and it's cool to be able to, as a creative, have this unique connection to have that perspective, to be inside of it, and then viewing it, and then being that storyteller to share that. I love that. I think that it's a great gift that you have, and so many of our young people have. And so I still want to make sure that we continue to figure out how, as an industry, we help to support that, right? And not constrain it, suffocate it, but that we continue to let it build and grow. So with that in mind, I mean, what do you think are the skills that are most critical for both our young creatives as well as these pre-professional and young emerging professionals to navigate this industry? What are the skills that you've pulled on the most, and you feel like is key for that sustainability?
You're asking the hard hitters, which is amazing. This is like these are the questions that obviously really do matter. I think that man, I mean, I think stay connected again with your values is really important, because again, like at the end of the day, like the music industry, it revolves around art, and the music that does truly last, like don't get me wrong, there are some incredible songs that are just fun, cool records. Artists and the careers that last are the figures in the industry that really value the art, that really value the connection and longevity, and that slow build of a journey over quick maybe financial or virality, if you will, and so I think that being able to like really stay true to your values. I think being able to collaborate and have challenging conversations, and I think playing a college sport really helped me with teamwork and being able to, because again, like I think it's easy as I can't speak, I don't know what it's like to work for an artist, but I know as an artist, it's really easy to be like, well, I'm the artist and I made the songs, and like you guys aren't here without me. But I'm not here without, I don't exist without everyone around me. And like I always say to my tour team, I'm like, it's so annoying that it's my name on the marquee, because I'm playing the show, but like at the end of the day, like you guys are making this tour happen. Like every day you're building the set and breaking down the set and playing the music and doing all the logistics. And so yeah, I think just being able to be a team player and collaborate is really important. I think, developing like a degree of like mental toughness and, fortitude maybe is the right word. Cause it's a hard game. It's a hard industry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Love that.
yeah, those,
I love it.
I would say those are like my primary kind of traits I would hope to possess.
Right, right. I think that's excellent. I think that flexibility of mind and body and spirit, right? To be able to continue, and not just in this industry.
Flexibility is like
Yeah.
in life, yeah, like flexibility, I've learned is like everything, particularly in this industry, because this, like so many industries, but again, I've never really done anything besides be a musician, but like everything is gonna go wrong. You are gonna you're gonna have a show in Omaha. This really happened. You're gonna have a show. We were sitting at the airport, and our flight to Omaha got canceled, and there was one other flight to Omaha, and there was no room on the flight, and a bunch of girls at the gate were like, "Oh my God, you're Chelsea Cutler. We're flying to Omaha for your show tonight," and we were like, "Well, we can't even get on your flight, so hopefully we'll see you later." And like, and our next best thing was fly to a city that was like Dakar and like everything that's you're gonna trip on stage, you are gonna eat it in front of thousands of people, you're gonna lose your voice, you're gonna forget the words, logistics are gonna go wrong, your bus is gonna break down, your flight's gonna get canceled, the album's not gonna stream as well as you wanted it to. Like everything and anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and like your ability to pivot and navigate that, I think will play a large part in like how you do in this industry.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you've touched a lot on this in our conversation already, but looking back on your journey so far in the like years, and even in your young years still, what would you tell your younger self today?
Ooh, I would tell my younger self. I would tell my younger self that you're accountable for your life. You're
Mm,
accountable for your schedule. You're accountable for your relationships. You're accountable for your relationship to your job. And I think that a big lesson that I've kind of learned, and again, this kind of goes back to the input output thing of being self employed, is like I I've always like I've wanted to be a team player really badly and like make everyone really happy. And my managers will bring me a million things because that's their job. And I have always been like such a yes woman. I'd be like, okay, fill my calendar. I'll do all of it. I'll just put my head down and I'll be on 5 flights in this one, weekend or what, like the craziest stuff. And I'm not even like that big an artist compared to like there are some careers that I can't even imagine like my mental health would be able to handle. But and I think that like I've gotten to places of burnout where I was like, well, it's the industry's fault and it's my manager's fault for like giving me too much to do, and like it's the industry's fault for being so demanding, and like at the end of the day, like you're accountable, like you need to do what makes you feel good. You need to chase your dream in a way that feels sustainable for you, and you need to build a business in a way that feels sustainable for you. And like it's your job to protect your relationship with your passion and with your art. And like I'm 27, so like I've been doing this for like 5-6 years, full time, and it's taken me a really long time to like just own that.
yeah.
And I think that's like the biggest lesson I've had to learn.
Yeah. And that you got this. You got this. You can do it.
Yeah,
You got this.
totally. And like again, like being you're like your own boss, and you're again like a lot of people like radically work for you. It's more partnership based,
Yeah.
but like you're accountable for all of that, and you're the CEO of your life, you're the CEO of your company, and how you want to how you want your company to run is reflective of like how you're conducting everything.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much, Chelsea. This was a great
Yeah,
conversation. I
of
hope
course.
our audience was able to like pick all these amazing nuggets that you've left for us, because I think you, as we started it, I think you've been able to help teach us how to build a more sustainable career as artists, but also how we as the industry can continue to support the growth and evolution of this industry and frankly this world, right? So thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Yeah, of
Have a
course. Thank
great
you so much for
one. Good
having me.
luck. We can't wait to hear the music coming out as well, so keep us posted.
So soon, I know. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Have a great one. Thank you, Chelsea. Bye. Peace.
Sounds good. Take care, guys. Bye.
Oh, that I love that conversation, and I even from the notes in the chat, you guys felt it too, right? How inspiring she was. So thank you again for that conversation, Chelsea. We had a lot of amens in the chat. So be it. Everything that you said, thank you. It was great. I can't wait to hear about your favorite moments, everybody here in the audience that has stuck with us through the entire day. I'm already remembering some of those magic moments and words of wisdom throughout, like, just do it from the moment that we stepped onto this stages, right? Creating your own networking opportunities, creating boundaries in your life for your passion, your inspiration, your self care, hands-on tools for creating brands. I mean, there was so much stuff. I just throw it in the chat. What are some things that you will remember and you learned today? What were some of your favorite moments or advice you grabbed? There's so much, right? I heard tenacity, flexibility across many discussions and panels, and network, 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 network. That's what we're doing. Teamwork makes the dream work as well, right? And don't forget to vote, everybody. You get it? I learned 16 million voters are voting for the first time this election year. Many of you in this audience, so please stay civically and great engaged. Please, please, please. Great meeting so many of you. I met folks from Lagos and Mexico City and Milan. I mean, truly, people showed up from the Philippines to Philadelphia. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you again to our sponsors, Thompson Hines, Seek VR, Connell Foley, our dear friends, Concord, and House of Blues and Live Nation families. Today, we joined from all over the world. We bridging our communities through music. What a beautiful group of individuals. And I know you guys will stay connected through LinkedIn's and through that Google sheet as well. So many diverse voices and viewpoints to the event today, all inspired by that universal language of music that unites us and brings our communities and cultures together. I'm moved by so many of the professionals, the companies, the community organizations, educators, music business programs, our generous sponsors that all showed up from all sectors of the music industry to inspire you on your journey. Everyone joined here to set the stage for you to succeed and lead the music industry into the future. I wish I could welcome all the Music Forward staff onto the screen and our production team at Jump Global. If you learned anything today as an artist or an emerging professional, and just as Chelsea just reinforced, it's how important your team is. So thank you to the team. Thank you so much. A number of you have already met so many of our team members throughout all the panels and stuff. So please keep giving them all the love and all the kudos. And feel free to hang out longer. Check out this website, our website, for more resources. Follow us, follow Music Forward on social media. Stay up to date on everything. Note, all of our panels were recorded today, so they'll be here for the next 5 days. You can guys jump on, go back to a panel you hadn't seen before. For the next 5 days through Sunday, we'll have it here sitting on this platform. And then we'll keep you posted on when we'll be rolling these out in the future. So thank you so much for another incredible installment of All Access Fest. Keep staying curious, keep growing, be well, and shine on, guys. Shine on. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine on.